The promise that changed everything. He looked straight into the camera, his eyes hollow, his voice trembling, and then he said it. "I'll never peacock for another woman again." The room fell silent. Robyn's expression unreadable. Meri's almost frozen. And in that chilling moment, Kody Brown wasn't just making a statement, he was making a vow. A vow that would set an emotional firestorm ablaze. One that nobody, not even the most diehard Sister Wives enthusiasts, saw coming. Because there is a secret that lies behind those well-crafted words, behind that awkward term, peacocking. A tale of ego, heartbreak, and the stunning reality of what actually tore the Brown family apart. What began as a love story grounded in faith and family, steadily devolved into a tale of betrayal, favoritism, and one man's last-ditch effort to get control over that which was lost. But here's where it gets darker, because this isn't just about love anymore. It's about image. It's about power. It's about what happens when one person starts believing they're the star of their own reality show, and everyone else is just supporting cast. Kody's words, that bizarre, defiant, "I'll never peacock again," were more than frustration. They were confession. A confession that he'd altered, that the man who used to court several wives with elegance and bravado now secluded himself in a version of himself that existed only in Robyn. And that's where the true story gets started, because just as Kody was penning his final line in the sand, taunting the very concept of courting another woman, Meri Brown was quietly at last prepared to shatter her silence. 4 years of heartbreak, for relentless humiliation, for being publicly dismissed and emotionally erased, Meri had had enough. She was no longer going to be the forgotten wife. Done being the faithful fangirl who received nothing in return. And when Kody laughed, when he ridiculed her for attempting to start dating, labeling her desperate, labeling her delusional, that's when something within her finally broke. What happened next will shock you. Because for the first time in years, Meri didn't remain quiet. She did not swallow her hurt. She did not mask behind the smile that the world had grown accustomed to. This time, she pushed back. And the manner in which she did it, the words that she said, the tone, the timing, it revealed something about Kody and Robyn that no one anticipated. A truth so raw, so incising, that it broke the illusion of the utopian marriage that Robyn and Kody had worked so desperately to safeguard, because in the world of Sister Wives, nothing remains concealed forever. And once the masks are dropped, the true faces are revealed at last, you won't believe how deep this is. You won't believe who has known all along. And wait till you hear what Robyn did next. Meri fights back. The moment the truth was exposed, it was meant to be only another interview. Another carefully choreographed confession. But this day, something was different. The producers sensed it. The crew fell silent. And even before Meri opened her mouth, there was a tension in the air, the kind of storm that had waited for years to unleash. For more than a decade, Meri Brown was the one who remained quiet, the one who waited. The wife who smiled during betrayal, the one who tolerated rejection under the spotlight of national television. But now, that quiet had become something different. A weapon. And it was ready to strike, because when Kody taunted her, when he snickered and said, "Resume dating? Who would want that?" He didn't simply cross in line. He wiped away her humanness. He turned years of love, heartache, devotion, and sacrifice into a heartless joke. And for the first time, Meri didn't wince. She faced directly into the camera and said, "Maybe someone who actually sees me would." The room came to a standstill. The crew was gaping. And for the first time, Kody Brown was at a loss for words. That moment, plain, unvarnished, heartbreaking, struck like a clap of thunder over Sister Wives fandom. Enthusiasts overflowed on social media. The snippets went viral like wildfire. For under that placid defiance lay something nobody anticipated, truth. The reality that Kody's so-called vow to Robyn wasn't loyalty, it was control. Think back to when Kody promised he'd never peacock for another woman. He said it meant he wouldn't pursue affection or flaunt anymore. But sources near the family let something blow. That phrase was code. A secret understanding between Kody and Robyn that they would keep their relationship exclusive, no questions asked. It was the moment Kody stopped being a husband to 4 women and became a man orbiting one behind the scenes. Meri's attempts to reconnect were met with cold walls and silent phones. Messages left unanswered. Invitations ignored. And then that mocking comment about her dating again. It wasn't an accident. It was a warning. A way of saying, you're done here. But what Kody didn't anticipate was the reaction of Robyn. In a surprising emotional turn no one could see coming, Robyn confessed that she felt caught in the middle, insisting she never wanted Kody to sever ties with his other wives. Yet her tears spoke otherwise, because on a deep level, Robyn knew the truth. The connection she had shared with Kody became the divider that came between the entire family. And when Meri finally stood up and spoke back, Robyn wasn't angry, she was terrified. Terrified that the illusion of the perfect marriage, the one TLC cameras had built so carefully, was finally starting to collapse. And here's where the twist gets even darker. According to those close to production, that wasn't the end of Meri's rebellion. Off camera, she confronted both of them directly. She informed Robyn, "You can have him, but don't you dare retell my story." The standoff, although never openly discussed, was the most sensationalized behind-the-scenes detail in the history of the show. And what ensued was explosive. In weeks, whispers were doing the rounds that Kody and Robyn's marriage was on the rocks. Sources whispered that Robyn had felt guilty, that she'd begun to wonder if Kody's self-proclaimed love was real or merely a fascination with control. And as for Meri, she began to rebuild. Quietly, slowly, but with power. She started to hint on the internet about a fresh start, about meeting a man who actually noticed her. Kody's cruel laughter no longer held her back. It propelled her. What happened next will surprise you. Because the woman Kody used to brush off as clingy ended up being the one person brave enough to walk away. The truth is, the actual story of the Sister Wives isn't really even about who Kody chose. It's about who chose themselves. And for Meri, that act of disobedience wasn't merely an act of revenge. It was a rebirth. When Kody realized what he lost, it's been weeks since Meri's final confrontation, and inside the once lively Brown home, silence now echoes louder than any argument ever did. The laughter is gone. The cameras still roll, but something's missing. That spark of control Kody used to carry like armor. He's no longer the confident patriarch, no longer the man who could command a room. Now he's a shadow. Watching the empire he built quietly fall apart, he told himself he was free. That losing the others didn't matter. That as long as he had Robyn, everything else was noise. But freedom has a strange sound when you've burned down every bridge to find it. It doesn't sound like peace, it sounds like emptiness. And then came the moment no one expected. Robyn, the former adamant, tearful fan, started questioning him. According to insiders, it began small, murmurs on set, drawn-out silences between sentences, the type of silence that screams louder than words ever can. Robyn started questioning. Questions that broke the illusion. Why did it have to be like this? Why do everyone dislike us now? Was it worth it? She told him she no longer recognized him. That the man she had fallen in love with, the one who preached love, unity, family, had disappeared behind walls of pride and rage. And when she said it, the world could feel her heartbreak, raw, exposed and real. Kody's frustration bubbled into something darker instead. He vented, not only at the cameras, not only at the critics, but at himself. His pride had become venom. The man who had boasted of balance, love, and destiny now tormented himself about the empty chairs at the dinner table. The biggest shock was when Kody admitted, in private, off camera, that he did miss them. Not only the women, but the sense of being needed, the confirmation, the regime. Because what nobody had known up until this point was that Kody's strongest addiction wasn't love, it was attention. When the network found out what went down, producers flew into a panic. Closed-door meetings were held. Whisperings circulated about uncut footage, volatile discussions, emotional meltdowns, scenes too intense to air. But one thing was certain. The family who formerly set standards for polygamy on TV was no more. The illusion was broken. The truth, now revealed, and Robyn, her tears became contemplation. She began questioning not only her decisions, but where she fit into the narrative. Friends say she started pulling away from production, shielding her children from the flames, attempting to seek solace in a world that no longer cheered for her love. And Kody, well, Kody started to come apart in silence. The man who once proudly announced he'd never peacock again now stood naked of everything that made him strong. His wives, lost. His cohesion, shattered. His legacy, tainted. He informed producers. They were supposed to follow me. But what really happened was, no one wanted to follow someone who no longer led with love. And that's the secret nobody anticipated. Kody did not lose his family in a day. He lost them the moment he stopped listening. So when Meri finally walked away, when she looked at him one last time and said, "I'm done," that wasn't the end. It was the beginning of Kody's reckoning. What happened next will surprise you. Because sometimes, karma doesn't knock, it breaks the door open. And as Kody Brown stood before the sound of his own silence, Robyn stood before a question she never imagined asking. Was it all worth it? This was the turning point. The revelation. The truth behind the demise of the Sister Wives empire. The world witnessed a man lose everything, and a woman get her voice back. And perhaps, that's the twist nobody saw coming. If you felt the feeling, if this story left you speechless, leave your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Kody will ever redeem himself? Or has the final chapter already been written? Don't forget to like, share, and follow Behind TLC Sister Wives, because the next revelation we reveal could totally turn everything you think you know on its head. The hidden tapes. What TLC didn't show and why. It began as a whisper. A rumor that somewhere deep within TLC's exclusive archives, there existed a treasure trove of hours of never-intended-to-be-seen footage. The network referred to it as unused material. But those who watched it gave it another name. The hidden tapes. Former crew members say these tapes capture the Brown family at their most raw. Moments of confession, rage, tears, scenes too raw, too real, too risky for prime time. And buried within those tapes was something that shook everything. A showdown so fiery, TLC supposedly swore to put it in the ground forever. It occurred while filming season 17, just after the Fishers started appearing. The production team had been rolling late one evening. Kody had gone off script, his voice cracking, ranting about loyalty and betrayal. But then, he said something that put even the producers on ice. He admitted, on camera, to no longer believing in plural marriage, that the whole experiment had been a failure. And in that one moment, all of the stories TLC had constructed, all of the episodes that sold the vision of shared love, fell apart from the inside out. Insiders report the clip was flagged right away. A producer called for it to be cut. Too destructive, they claimed. Too conclusive. But that wasn't the only shock inside those tapes. Because what followed concerned Robyn. In a never-broadcast interview, Robyn apparently sobbed, admitting she felt caught in the story. She said, "I didn't steal anybody's husband. He gave himself away." The admission was crude, genuine, and poignant. But it never went out. TLC cut around it, substituting the awkward moment with a deliberately selected clip of her wiping at a tear. Why? Because the truth did not work within the narrative. Fans have been asking for years why the show's tone shifted, why scenes came across as more removed, more rigid. Now we know. The story wasn't about love and faith anymore. It was about guarding an image, a brand, a man who had already lost it all, but still had to appear in control, and then the footage that nobody at TLC wanted anyone to see. The moment when Meri walked off as in a cut scene. Shot after her final confrontation, Meri took off her microphone, glared directly into the camera, and delivered her parting shot. "You can't tell my story for me anymore." The crew remained mute. Others were crying. They recognized that this wasn't television anymore. It was truth, raw and uncomfortable. But the network, it deemed it unusable. Too real, too emotional, too volatile. The tape was sequestered. Months after, rumors began circulating among the crew members, tales of covert edits, missing footage, and one producer who said he had kept a copy of the last confrontation. When asked why, they said something chilling. Because one day, people will need to see who they really were. The shocking twist, that footage, the hidden tapes, didn't just reveal a family breaking apart. It revealed a truth about reality TV itself, that sometimes, the most powerful moments are the ones we're never allowed to see. So the question remains, what else is still locked away? What were the truths protected by TLC, and at what price? And if those tapes ever were released, what would they reveal about Kody, Robyn, and the future of Sister Wives? Because in television, perception is reality, but reality has a way of finding its way through. It was the moment the camera stopped narrating the story, and the story began telling itself. The secrets that could end the show. It started with an email, one that was never supposed to exist. Late one evening, many seasons of filming having come to a close, a message moved silently through the network's internal ranks. It stated in brief, "We can't broadcast this. If it leaks, we are done." That one email, deep in TLC's records, was the first domino that fell in a line of disclosures that would rattle the very foundation of Sister Wives to its core. Because tucked inside those threads were not only production memos, but dialogue ententes between actors and producers that no one fan was ever meant to see. The emails uncovered a disturbing reality. Kody and Robyn had supposedly established a closed-down communication loop with producers, well before the other wives even suspected. By making those late-night phone calls and clandestine meetings, they started weaving together storylines, determining what would go on the air and what would go into editing purgatory. And while viewers saw Meri, Christine, and Janelle sharing their hearts on TV, their hurt, their rage, their vulnerability, in secret, a very different narrative was being created. A reality version where Kody remained always the misunderstood patriarch, and Robyn remained always the victim. But here's the twist. Some of the crew members weren't willing to play. One editor, who eventually departed the network, released a memo called Damage Control, Protect the Core Couple. In it, they detailed precisely how scenes were chopped, how emotional responses were rescored, and how small edits would transform conflict into sympathy, with only a few frames of silence or a strategically placed tear, the actual reason. Ratings. Pure and simple. TLC understood the drama was addictive, the heartbreak lucrative, but a full-on implosion? Too much. They needed illusion to survive, even while the family perished. And that is when the coalition changed. Sources allege that once Meri had her last battle, the one never broadcast, Christine made a private appeal to Janelle and Robyn, begging for the truth to be revealed. But rather than solidarity, she was greeted by silence. Next, weeks later, Robyn's name was mentioned in a confidential production release under the title, Creative Advisor, Post-Family Direction. Yes, the same Kody Brown who had declared that she loathed being famous was surreptitiously credited as an advisor to the next stage of the show. It was the twist no one could have anticipated. The former victim-painted woman had become part of the machine, and as Kody struggled to maintain his reputation as the family heart, the network was already making its next move. Emails showed plans of a rebrand, a potential spin-off entitled Sister Wives, the afterlife, revolving around Robyn's demons and Kody's downfall. But the idea was dropped when legal threats started pouring in. Meri's team, Christine's representatives, even former crew members, all demanding the same thing. Show the truth. So TLC made a decision. One final, desperate move to protect the brand. They sealed the hidden tapes, scrubbed the emails from public servers, and locked away the footage in an internal vault labeled Legacy Materials. Only a handful of people know what's inside. And each and every one of them has been quiet until now, because here's the actual secret, the one that might kill Sister Wives dead. The show we watched wasn't about one family enduring polygamy. It was about a network enduring truth. Everything we thought we knew, the drama, the tears, the confessions, were pieces of something bigger. A tale not of faith, but of control. A romance turned contract, and a family turned product. When the truth finally comes out, when those secret tapes get an airing, it won't simply revolutionize the way we view Sister Wives. It will revolutionize the way we view reality television itself. Is it possible that TLC kept the truth under wraps to shield Kody and Robyn, or to safeguard the brand? Comment below what you think, for your voice keeps the truth alive. Remember to like, share, and follow Behind TLC Sister Wives, where we expose the explosive stories nobody else is brave enough to tell. And remember, sometimes the most explosive moments are the ones you'll never get to see on TV. The truth resurfaces when the hidden tapes leak. At 2:17 a.m. A background upload posted a series of video clips titled just SW17_uncut. In a matter of hours, the internet went wild. Forums collapsed. TikTok spliced, reaction channels blew up. And for the very first time, the world witnessed something that TLC never intended anyone to witness. The clips were uncut, raw, shaky, but authentic. They presented late-night fights, producers pleading for take after take, and one chilling moment when Kody confesses, perhaps it was never about family. Perhaps it was about me. Fans were not sure if they should sob or rejoice. Some declared justice. Others declared the end. Hashtags trended across the globe. Hashtag Sister Wives Truth. Hashtag Kody Exposed. Hashtag Release the Tapes. Reaction clips tallied millions of views within the night. People referenced timelines, cracked secret codes, slowed down frames to hear every hushed sentence. And suddenly, every smiling promo photo looked like evidence that TLC released a short statement calling the footage unauthorized material, but it was too late. The digital wildfire had already burned through the brand. Sponsors paused contracts. Press outlets demanded answers. And the Brown family, scattered across states, was thrown back into the spotlight they had tried to escape. Robyn reportedly begged for privacy. She stated, "This isn't what we wanted the world to see." But the world had already seen too much. Because the last leaked clip, the one which shut the internet up, wasn't of Kody. It was of Meri. They edited our lives, but they can't edit the truth. It was her last recorded message. Never shown, never approved. She gazed directly at the camera, serene, determined, and uttered, "Perhaps we weren't supposed to be a story. Perhaps we were a lesson." That 30-second moment shattered the internet. Viewers dubbed it the line that brought an era to an end. TLC's servers crashed for hours due to the traffic. The future of the show, uncertain. The legacy, irrevocably altered, because when those secret tapes came to light, they did more than reveal secrets. They laid bare humanity, the agony behind the making, the love behind the deception, the folks behind the program. And as the globe rewatched those original episodes, listening to the giggles once pure-sounding, one question was asked louder than ever. Was this ever a family show, or always a show about losing one? If you were around when the truth came back, if you witnessed what the cameras never captured, tell us what you felt. Leave a comment, post to your Facebook, and follow Behind TLC Sister Wives for the surprises yet to come. Because one thing's for sure, in the realm of reality television, the truth has a way of seeping out, the fallout. TLC's response and the future of Sister Wives, by dawn, all the major news sites had covered it. Leaked Sister Wives footage shocks TLC. Within less than a day, a decade-long franchise had become a network crisis. Under the roof of TLC's headquarters, executives sat behind closed doors for 14 consecutive hours. Phones off, windows shuttered. An insider described the mood as like the morning after a scandal no one could spin. Their first action? Silence. Then a statement. We are carrying out a full internal review of unauthorized content leaks. But the public wasn't having it. Fans demanded accountability. And the wives demanded justice that in a matter of days. Lawyers for Meri, Christine, and Janelle submitted letters of intent, claiming breach of contract, defamation, and emotional distress. The network had crossed the line from storytelling to spying. And the wives were together, not as co-stars, but as plaintiffs. The backlash came fast. Sponsors held off commercials. Streaming platforms called for cancellations. TLC was hemorrhaging credibility by the minute. In the boardroom, executives tossed around a move so bold it crossed into desperation. Someone suggested a reboot. Not a continuation, a reboot. Working title, Sister Wives, Truth and Redemption. A docu-series that would bring back the original cast, grant them complete creative control, and finally show what really happened. It was the network's Hail Mary. But there was a catch. Kody refused. He told producers, "I won't be part of a show that makes me the villain." He wanted a reboot of his own. A new series about rebuilding from scratch. TLC was caught in the middle of two narratives, the one that the wives wished to share, and the one Kody would not release. The internet decided where it stood within a matter of hours. Hashtag Team Wives trended across more than 40 nations. Petitions circulated calling on TLC to give the wives their own show. And well within the network's marketing department, a clandestine pitch deck started to form, a spin-off with a new tone, a new name, and a purpose to rebuild trust. Sources say it would emphasize the wives' separate lives, new careers, new relationships, new starts without Kody. Every episode a tale of healing, not heartbreak. But there was still one last hurdle, the contract that held them all together. TLC owned the name, the footage, even the brand Sister Wives. And to utilize it, the wives would require Kody's signature. Insiders reveal that months afterward, under public pressure and private entreaty, Kody eventually signed, but with one stipulation, that his side would receive a series finale to close the chapter. TLC signed off. The wives signed off. And the network revealed a one-off special entitled Sister Wives, the final confession. When the news hit the air, viewers didn't merely witness a program wrapping, they witnessed a movement unfolding. A plea for genuine storytelling, for truth rather than editing, for women taking back their story after 10 years of silence. And as the rebooting of TLC was underway, one executive was overheard as saying, perhaps the true show wasn't really about polygamy. Perhaps it was about survival. And thus it ends, and thus it begins anew. A family torn, a network rocked, a legacy resurrected out of its own ashes. The story that once captivated the world now faces its final act. Redemption. That if you followed this journey from the beginning, drop your thoughts below. Should TLC be forgiven or forgotten? Subscribe to Behind TLC Sister Wives for the sequel, where truth is always lurking to be revealed. The rebirth, behind the Project Phoenix reboot. It's been 18 months since the last confessions aired, and the world believed the Sister Wives saga was finally done. But like every phoenix, that which burns to ash often learns to take flight again. They named it Project Phoenix. Not a show, a statement, a resurrection founded on one principle: no scripts, no filters, no deception. After a year of courtroom combat and network dealings, the wives reclaimed their own narrative. They established an independent production company, separate from TLC, separate from Kody, and promised to capture what life actually was like after the collapse. Initially, viewers were doubtful. Could this family, so shattered, heal on camera once more? But when the teaser dropped, just 20 seconds of Meri saying, "This time, we're telling it ourselves," the internet erupted. Within hours, millions of views. The hashtags returned. The world was listening again. Filming was different now. Smaller crews. No trailers. No network handlers hovering over the monitors. Just truth. Every episode centered around a theme. Healing, independence, forgiveness, with the women who had once shared one man and now shared a mission. To see that life after betrayal was indeed possible, but with the buzz came speculation. Would Kody show up? The wives remained tight-lipped. Until the eve of the premiere, when a cryptic teaser leaked onto the web. A dark studio, a lone silhouette, a voice that sounded familiar exclaiming, "You can't erase me from my own story." The fans went wild. Was it fake? Was Kody returning? Then came the big reveal. Episode 1 did not start with Meri or Christine, but with him. One shot. Kody in the same chair in which he had made his last confession, older, weary, head down. He said quietly, "I watched it all fall apart. Maybe I was the reason." No one saw that coming. Not the public, not even the wives. The cameo was not a reunion. It was a reckoning. He didn't seek forgiveness. He established the firmness of a truth. And then, he disappeared off stage, into the light flooding through the studio door. That moment became viral. The episode became a metaphor, not of defeat, but of closure. Viewers saw humans, for the first time, flawed, indomitable, and at long last free. Critics labeled Project Phoenix a masterclass in emotional truth. Viewers dubbed it the show we were promised years ago. And behind the scenes, the wives did quietly celebrate what they'd created, a women-run production for women, on their own terms. The Sister Wives' legacy didn't end in ashes after all. It changed, from an account of control to an account of choice. And the instant the credits rolled on Project Phoenix, the message was out. The truth can hurt, but it can also heal. That if you're a believer in second chances, and in stories that rise from their own ashes, share this video, comment your thoughts, and follow Behind TLC Sister Wives for the next truth waiting to be told. The legacy. How the Sister Wives story changed reality TV forever. It's over now. The cameras are loaded. Lights are low. The desert is still. But even after the final confessional went dark, the reverberation of the Brown family remains, not only on our television sets, but in the manner we view, the manner we criticize, the manner we experience reality television. Being Sister Wives changed everything. Prior to this show, polygamy was a murmur in the news. After it, it was a discussion, messy and human and worldwide. We witnessed faith and fracture, love and loss, control and courage, all within a single family that had the audacity to live publicly what most people would keep private. For 12 years the show guaranteed togetherness. Then the truth, the leaks, the fallouts, the rebirth, compelled us to pay the cost of transparency. It dissolved the border between storytelling and surveillance, between authenticity and editing. And when the wives reclaimed their story, they didn't merely retake their voices, they redefined the rules of reality television. Networks learned something they can't unlearn. People no longer desire perfection, they desire truth. The Brown drama laid bare the machinery behind the magic, the cuts, the cues, the manipulation, and viewers reacted not with indignation but awakening. Following Project Phoenix, new shows took its template, smaller production units, direct-to-camera narrative, creators in control of their footage. The legacy of Sister Wives grew larger than its ratings. It became a reflection on how much television and its audience had changed, and for those who experienced it, the women who weathered the beam of criticism, legacy wasn't about fame. It was about freedom. Freedom to love as they wanted to. Freedom to fail, to forgive, to start again. Even Kody's silence was included in the lesson. Because in every good story, there's the one who loses everything, so others can at last find themselves. This wasn't ever just a TV show. It was a decade-long mirror, holding up to us our addiction to image, our appetite for truth, and our constant obsession with the delicate thing we call family. The Brown family might have ended, but their story didn't. It evolved, like all truths do, into something larger, a reminder that even reality needs redemption. If you've walked through every twist, every heartbreak, every rebirth, comment below what this journey meant to you. Share this with someone who still believes reality TV can reveal reality itself. And remember, the story of the Sister Wives wasn't about 4 women and 1 man. It was about all of us learning, at last, to tell our own.